Hi everybody, it's Hey John. I cover cryptocurrency videos about Dogecoin specifically. I cover Dogecoin news and a Dogecoin technical analysis. And today we will be covering the Dogecoin news. However, before we start all that, if you support this channel, if you support Dogecoin, do me a huge favor and subscribe and like and share these videos so we can grow the Dogecoin community together, okay? Again, we want to grow the Dogecoin community together. Now let's get to the news, okay? It's March 31st, 2021, and I saw that Snoop Dogg threw out a tweet about his NFT. So he's saying alarm Blair 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 sound down. Get your hashtag Dogecoins ready. Dropping Friday, April 2nd at 4 p.m. Pacific time, I guess Pacific Standard Time, at Snoop Dogg's first hashtag NFT collection, A Journey with a Doge, including an original track, Down, only at crypto.com/NFT. And you see, at it's all risky replying, saying, "Hey, Snoop Dogg, always been a fan, right? We love you, Snoop Doge." So this to me sounds like I guess Snoop Dogg is literally dropping an NFT, and he may be possibly lifting it with buying it with Dogecoins possibly. I'm not too sure, but this should be interesting. And in fact, that Snoop Dogg is promoting this out. It's huge news because let's see how many wait, here you go. We can see how many followers Snoop Dogg has, right? Snoop Dogg has 19.3 million followers. So when he drops it, there's going to be that many more people who are going to be more exposed to Dogecoin, right? I mean, yes, we know that Snoop Dogg has dropped a few tweets about Dogecoin, but now him making NFT and going, I would say all into NFTs, right? Putting his feet into it, not just kind of testing the waters, but actually going into the waters by dropping a product in the NFT space here. It's gonna let the people, his followers, know that, hey, you know what? I'm serious about cryptocurrency, about Dogecoin specifically, and I'm serious about NFTs. So you guys should get on board with it and check it out and get some knowledge about it, right? And then when they get this knowledge about NFTs and Dogecoin from the exposure from Snoop Dogg, they're gonna be more likely to possibly invest into Dogecoin, right? Because obviously, if Snoop Dogg is into it, then hey, you know what? I may get into it too, right? Because I know the guy, I trust him, etc., etc., etc. So this is great news for Dogecoin today. Very great news. All right. So let's move on to the next article here. Met10 EdTechX initiates blockchain technology strategic plan and to introduce Dogecoin reward mechanism. That's interesting, right? A mechanism to get rewards? Okay. So Shenzhen, China, March 30, 2021, Met10 EdTechX Education Group, NASDAQ MetX, a leading omni-channel English language training ELT service provider in China today announced that the company has initiated its blockchain technology strategic plan, the plan, and will introduce a Dogecoin reward mechanism on a platform of like Shuo for foreign teachers. Dogecoin is the second cryptocurrency in the world after Bitcoin. The company has divided into three major stages. Another interesting, actually, Dogecoin being rewarded. Okay, I mean, obviously, Dogecoin is cheap enough, so I guess it makes sense to kind of use as a reward system, kind of like how Reddit, Dogecoin, where you can use it for tipping. Maybe there's a similar idea here. So let's get into it and see though. Preliminary test period. The first stage, which is a preliminary test period, the company plans to introduce a Dogecoin reward mechanism to offer incentives to foreign teachers. Students can reward the teachers with Dogecoins based on their teaching performance, and teachers can also earn Dogecoin rewards by undertaking teaching and researching tasks published on the company's platform. In addition, students can also earn Dogecoins by completing their studies and sharing knowledge on the platform. Okay, it is very interesting. So it's kind of like it sounds like Reddit, for kind of like Reddit Dogecoin, the tipping system, right? But of course, this is more on a company platform, so it's a little more structured, and you have to do certain things to get it. So that's kind of cool. So it's kind of like this. It's kind of like doing little odd jobs here and there, but in terms of education, odd jobs and getting paid for it. And obviously, if the teachers if the students like the teachers, right, for what they're doing and they're doing a great job here, you know what? I'm gonna tip you some Dogecoin. That's pretty cool. Joint development period. In the second stage, the joint development period, the company will actively seek cooperation with online education regulators and blockchain technology service providers to build a healthy ecosystem of mutual benefits by leveraging the technological advantages of blockchain. The company also plans to cooperate with third parties to build an ecosystem to protect copyright, verify teachers' qualifications, record students' competency indicators more effectively while protecting the students' privacy. Okay. Um, technology integration period. The third stage is the technology integration period, in which a company expects to integrate its own resources and technological strength, apply blockchain, artificial intelligence, 5G, and other cutting edge technologies to further revolutionize online education and provide students with high quality education services. Okay. It's quite interesting actually to see an educational company starting to use blockchain and Dogecoin specifically as a tipping system to reward their teachers and to reward their students right here, right? So it's like saying, hey, if I'm gonna do I'm a student, I'm gonna do some work here on MedTech, on their platform right here. Um, the company may just give me some Dogecoin. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It kind of it's I guess it kind of incentivizes you to kind of learn or do certain things, which is very interesting. Okay, very, very well. I think this is great news for Dogecoin actually. The fact that it now entering a new space here, the education space. Obviously it's in China, not in America, but as always, if it does well there, it may come over here, right? Because nowadays China is kind of like the place to do stuff, right, for business and everything. So I guess we'll see where it goes from here, right? But I'm definitely bullish by seeing this article here. I mean, that's very, very cool. I mean, obviously it's gonna be small in the beginning, but hey, if this Pi program goes well, it could blow up, right, and go everywhere. So now I want to go over the next article here by Investors Place here. And the article title is "Sell the Bubble Within a Bubble Called Dogecoin." This is kind of the first bearish article I've seen to date so far. So this should be interesting actually. With Washington and banks opposing cryptocurrencies, cryptos are unlikely to be used for purchases on a widespread basis. Okay. There's some merit to that because obviously the IRS treats Dogecoin and cryptocurrencies as an asset, not a currency. So what that means is that if your asset increases in price right here, right, you could pay you are charged capital gain taxes when you use it. So if you exchange your product, Dogecoin for a product here, and you have an increase, you're gonna get charge a tax for that. If it's a year, you get charged less. If it's less, if it's under a year, you get charged, I think, about 35%. Don't quote me on that. That's from what I recall off the top of my head, though. But anyways, the opposition of governments and large banks to cryptocurrencies is likely to prevent them from ever going mainstream. Okay. As a result, the cryptocurrencies, including Dogecoin, are overvalued at their current levels and have probably reached bubble status. Okay, I mean, I guess I would say that's a fair point, right? Because obviously we are about 1,000% increase, in the past 3 months here. So that's a fair statement to say it's bubble, right? But at the same token, it's not because of all the news, and there's actually fundamentals driving this, in my opinion here. I also agree with most of the bearish points that Bank of America recently made about Bitcoin, and with Dogecoin, one of the cryptocurrencies that's least likely to attain widespread adoption. I recommend that investors sell the currency now. Okay, I mean that's super bearish right there. Bank of America is obviously in the fiat currency world right here, right? So for them, they do forex, they do investments. So for them, they have a vested interest to keep the old guard in place. By the old guard, I mean the fiat currencies, right? And you're seeing a new emerging player, aka cryptocurrency, Dogecoin, Bitcoin. So I can see why the Bank of America is kind of throwing out, I would say, splash articles highlighting things that are not positive for Dogecoin because they want to stay the king of what they're doing. And it's kind of like, someone coming in to your job, right? A young buck, right? And here you are being here for you're probably like 35 or 40 years old or something, maybe 50, or maybe you're 40 years old or 45 right here, right? You're kind of setting your ways, you're in a company, kind of doing your job, and you see the young buck here with all this ambition, wants to change everything, and he's kind of disrupting you. So you're gonna be like, oh, you know what, dude? No, man, I'm not gonna do that. Heck no, I'm gonna fight you on this one. I'm gonna push back, So this to me is kind of like that kind of a scenario here in the corporate world, just to kind of put into perspective if you're not well versed in finances here. So just to give you an analogy of kind of what's going on here, just so you can better understand it. Leave me a comment below if you agree with that analogy or it makes sense or it's totally off base, like apples to oranges. Let me know. I'm kind of curious. Washington will stymie widespread adoption of cryptos. There are multiple signs that the U.S. government is opposed to the widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies. For example, in February, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen called Bitcoin, what's weird, called Bitcoin extremely inefficient. And in March, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell labeled cryptocurrencies highly volatile and not really useful stores of value. Okay, first of all, Janet Yellen calling Bitcoin inefficient, I don't know about that one. I would say it's pretty efficient because literally the market, aka the investors, you and I, or whoever is buying it, determines the price. So cryptocurrency is kind of like the stock market, right? Where you put an exchange and people buy and sell, short, go long, options, 10x leverage, 20x leverage, whatever the platform enables you to do. To me, when Janet Young kind of says this, it tells me that she's a little off here because she doesn't understand what cryptocurrency is. Because what Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell always get to is, hey, you know what? The stock market is super efficient, right? Super efficient. The real estate is inefficient, right? Because it's so slow. But cryptocurrency is essentially like the stock market. It's traded the same way. So for her to say that it's extremely inefficient doesn't make sense to me, personally speaking. If you know why, leave a comment below, okay? But I don't agree with the statement here because to me, it's being traded on an exchange platform. Literally, you can use bots, you can trade like any other asset. So to me, it's super efficient here. So I don't understand, and by efficient, what I mean by that is that, you and I or investors determine the price right here, not right, not like the current stock market where the federal government can print out trillions of dollars and buy stock bonds, from the companies here and kind of, I would say, artificially prop up these companies here. So to me, I think the stock market now is becoming more inefficient, and the cryptocurrency space is the new capitalist trading grounds here, where it's literally being set by traders here. If it's gonna go down, it's gonna go down. If it's gonna go up, it's gonna go up, and nothing's gonna stop it, right? Because there's no SEC regulating it. So to me, cryptocurrency seems like the most efficient platform to trade on currently. But anyway, that's my little spiel on that and why I disagree with her. The reality is that governments can take steps which will make the widespread use of Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and other cryptocurrencies extremely impractical. I actually agree with that. For example, the IRS is forcing U.S. citizens to report any use of cryptocurrencies, and any transaction involving cryptos could, according to IRS, result in a taxable capital gain. Okay, as I kind of mentioned earlier, before I even read this part of the article here, that I was explaining to you guys, the IRS does treat cryptocurrencies as an asset, right? Such as stocks, gold, silver, etc. Here, right? It isn't currency where you can just buy something with $1 and there's no record of that transaction here, right? So when you go to the store and buy something with your $1, say you buy that pack of gum right there, right? You don't pay tax on that. You pay a sales tax if there is a sales tax, and the retailer takes care of it for the most part. But you, as a person buying it, there's no record of transaction. However, with cryptocurrencies, it's sort of a double-edged sword. Yes, it's anonymous, but there are, you know, uh, things where when you trade, right, every transaction is recorded on a ledger, right? So if someone's to tap into it, they can say, oh yeah, this wallet has, buying this gum here, so we're gonna charge them a tax now. But of course, the IRS does not do that. They expect you and I to do that. Therefore, they're putting a stop on cryptocurrency and making it very inefficient to use because it's kind of a hassle, right? And the whole point is that if they make it a hassle and inconvenient, then guess what? You are more likely to not use it. That's just how it is, human nature, right? We're all lazy. Even the hardest even the hardest person, I'm sorry, even the hardest working person is lazy in their own way, right? So the fact that they're making it, kind of making a little wall here and making it a little inefficient here, in terms of making you and I, whoever's using these cryptocurrency, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, etc. here, right? Making you record it and making it more and giving you more legwork to do it though. But at the same token here, people buying it, they're kind of holding it for the most part. Some people are using it as currency, and some people are just holding on to it, such as myself here. For me, I'm buying Dogecoin specifically because I see it as the next crypto silver, because to me Bitcoin is kind of crypto gold here. And the reason why I'm buying Dogecoin is because I see it as a hedge against inflation, because all this money printing I'm seeing in Washington, right, from Jerome Powell, the 1.9 trillion, and now we're going to see the possible $2 trillion of infrastructure proposed by our president here. Again, this is not a political debate here, but this is just me sharing with you what I'm doing here, and it's not about me saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that, hey, I'm buying some Dogecoin because I see it as the cryptocurrency silver, and I'm hedging against inflation here. That's my personal belief, and that's what I'm doing here. The need to report all transactions involving cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin and Dogecoin, to the IRS makes cryptos rather impractical to use for any purpose. After all, keeping careful track of every transaction is rather cumbersome. I would agree with that. The need to report all transac I'm sorry, and the fact that the Americans can only buy and use foreign fiat currencies without reporting those transactions to the IRS or paying taxes on them makes such currencies much more practical as hedges against inflation than cryptos. I don't agree with that, because with cryptos here, if you just buy a lot and do a few transactions, it's not that cumbersome to manage, right? You're doing hundreds, and yeah, it'll become cumbersome. Further, the U.S. government hostility to Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and other cryptocurrencies is likely to prevent most businesses and other individuals from ever accepting them in exchange for goods and services. After all, it's theoretical. After all, it's theoretically possible for the government to take other steps that will hinder the use of cryptos, and Washington could even theoretically make them illegal. Okay, this is pure speculation right here. Until it happens, right? You could say, hey, also in this article, you can also say, hey, you know what? Washington could also go the opposite direction, right? And say, you know what? Let's adopt cryptocurrencies because it's so efficient, and let's take off all the barriers and roadblocks right here, right? So this is, to me, this part of the paragraph right here is pure speculation here. But the IRS part, this part is actually fact and true. All right. So banks will stymie widespread adoption of cryptos. Also likely to hurt cryptos is large banks' hostility to them. As I explained before, it's kind of the old guard, the banks, and the young and the new young bucks, the cryptos, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, etc. As I'll describe below, Bank of America recently issued an extremely bearish note on cryptos, and JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon in 2017 memorably referred to Bitcoin as a fraud. Okay, well, it's a fraud. How is it worth about $1.3 trillion today for Bitcoin? I don't know. Call me crazy. That's a pretty big Ponzi scheme, aka fraud, right? It's easy to understand why banks are opposing cryptos. The reason is that financial institutions make a great deal of money from the current fiat currency system. For example, they generate revenue by enabling businesses to exchange one fiat currency for another, and by allowing companies to hedge against the fluctuations of fiat currencies. So why would banks want to upend that system by replacing fiat currencies with cryptocurrencies? And with the banks opposing cryptocurrencies, consumers won't be able to pay their mortgages and credit cards with them. Meanwhile, businesses won't be able to take out the crypto loans or establish crypto checking accounts. That's actually very true. That's kind of where BitPay is coming in, and BitPay is kind of a leader in the space in America, at least in the United States of America, and they're kind of creating their own financial system in that sense, right there, where you can, use it as a credit card even with BitPay there. So of course, as I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned even prior to reading this article, that of course the banks want to protect their financial interests, right? They're making tons of money this way. I am perfectly happy with the status quo. Why in the heck would I want to change it, right? But I also did read an article a few months back that JP Morgan Chase is actually looking into their own personal blockchain technology. So obviously, in my opinion, if they're doing that, they see the value of blockchain technology. So maybe they're saying this because they don't want, the open source blockchain technology, but they want to implement their own blockchain technology like Chase Coin or something. And once that happens, they're gonna say, you know what? Hey, I'm all about blockchain now. It's great, right? It's fantastic. So it's kind of the typical spiel of big companies, right? They want to poo on your stuff that isn't theirs, but when theirs come out, it's a-okay. Here we go. Bank of America made some good points. On March 17, Bank of America issued a note which argued that Bitcoin has become correlated to risk assets. It is not tied to inflation and remains exceptionally volatile, making it impractical as a store of wealth or payment mechanisms. The bank also contended that Bitcoin prices have risen based on large purchases of the cryptocurrencies by a few institutions. Further, Bank of America stated that the sole reason to buy the crypto is in order to profit when its price climbs. It sounds like Bank of America is just mad because they missed a dip. Well, I say it jokingly, but I cannot feel that way though, right? And now they're kind of throwing out using their name and their clout to kind of bring it back down to say, hey, you know what? I want to get back in, right? I agree with most of those arguments. I haven't seen any evidence that cryptos usually climb when inflation or fears of inflation increases, and cryptos are certainly prone to extremely sharp drops that make them impractical as a method of storing wealth. Finally, I believe that since the opposition of governments and banks will prevent cryptos from ever being used as real currencies on a widespread basis, I do think that the only economically valid reason for buying them is because their value may go up. Okay, first of all, this is the exact same thing as gold and silver, right? Physical, the commodity here, right? Gold and silver doesn't always go up when inflation goes up as well. So there are times when a stock goes up, gold goes up as well, and there are times when the stock goes down, gold goes up as well. So obviously, gold and silver are traded as well. So even though they're known as hedges against inflation, but they kind of do what they want to do for the most part as well. Here you go. The following statement will probably cause some crypto lovers to send me angry messages, but the truth is, I think the main force propelling cryptos higher is their coolness factor. Specifically, many consumers and some companies are buying cryptos like Bitcoin and Dogecoin primarily because they are viewed as cool. I totally agree with that. I love Dogecoin. I bought the Bitcoin as well because I don't see them. I mean, yeah, to me, they're personally, I think they're cool, but I'm also buying them because I see them as hedges against inflation here. In that way, the crypto craze reminds me of the Holland 17th century tulip bubble. That bubble, which was created because the Dutch became enamored with the beauty and rareness of tulips, definitely ended in tears. But just as some crypto investors have made a great deal of money, many Dutch citizens made a lot of money on tulips back then. I think the same thing could happen with cryptos once consumers realize that they will likely never become used on a widespread basis, and once different, cool objects attract the attention of tens of millions of Americans. However, I do believe that this person here writing this article has not been seeing some of the FTX news, FTX USA. They're not seeing, oh wow, Air Bativa, the Latvian airline. We're seeing all kinds of adoption on that kind of space here, e-commerce platform, allowing easier exchange of this kind of currency. Dogecoin is even less likely than Bitcoin to be used for millions of purchases. Other investor place columnists have gone into great detail on how Dogecoin is much more volatile and less reliable than Bitcoin and other cryptos. For example, in his March 17 article, Brett Kinwell wrote, Dogecoin is fine for speculators, but investors are seeking more stability in cryptocurrency assets will likely want to consider something else. Much more scathing was Vince Martin, who in his March 19 column wrote, Dogecoin is a cryptocurrency conceived as a joke based on the internet meme. It's a cryptocurrency with basically zero interest from developers. It's a cryptocurrency that already blew up once and whose narrow use case no longer even exists. That isn't true because we have a bunch of volunteer developers at the Dogecoin developers creating new stuff all the time and keeping the code up to date. So these articles here are written by these two authors here. I don't believe they are giving the full picture here. The bottom line on Dogecoin, due to opposition of governments and banks to cryptocurrencies, cryptos probably will never go mainstream and the crypto bubble will likely burst. Meanwhile, Dogecoin appears to be a rare bubble within a bubble, so it's extremely likely to burst sooner rather than later. Okay. Like I said, it's fair to say that Dogecoin is in a bubble because it increased over 100% in a very short amount of time, about about a 3 month time frame here. That's a fair statement to make. However, the fundamentals have changed and they have justified the increase. Okay, so I personally don't believe Dogecoin is in a bubble, but I understand why you would say that if you're not fully knowledgeable about Dogecoin and all the news coming out and all the fundamentals here. If you're just going off the skim and the surface here, I can see why you would think that and why you would think that. And once you see that, 100% increase, you're gonna think, hey, it's a bubble for sure. But once you get into a little more, like I have, you will learn that it's not. And as always, this concludes the video for today. I thank you all for joining me today. And as always, if you truly believe in this channel and you believe in Dogecoin, do me a huge favor and subscribe and like and share this video, okay? And most importantly, let's grow the Dogecoin community so we can say goodbye to these bear people. I will catch you on next one.